What's up, y'all? Thanks to everybody that tuned in to my Not Like Us breakdowns. Now we're about to get on to the other side. No homo, no diddy. But we're about to break down the Drake's Heart Part 6. I've been wanting to get at this one because I feel like this was one that people, lazily listened to, already had their mind made up, just misunderstood the bars, or didn't even try to. I feel like it's a lot of bars that got misconstrued. So we're going to do our best to try to break these down because I've seen a lot of them and I've just shook my head and laughed like that's not the take. That's not what he meant. But as always, we're going to be fair. We're going to see the ones that age well and that ones that didn't. I'm sure there's some bars in here that didn't age well. I'm sure there's some where it's like, damn, Drake was speaking. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the Kendrick bar. When it's a bar that aged well, we're going to give it props. If it's one that's aging like milk, not aging well, we're going to speak on that too. So without further interruption, get you a seat, grab your popcorn, and let's do a deep dive into this Heart Part 6. The Heart Part 6 was a playoff of Kendrick's Heart series as he dropped 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So Drake tried to beat him to the punch with number 6, but as we later found out, Kendrick still dropped it. But it also had different meanings as it was layered, where his fiancée Whitney's birthday was tied into it, being known as the sixth god from the six. As you see here on the screen, just many different meanings. I thought that was pretty clever. Drake.
Now let me see you prove it. Just let me see you prove it.
So he starts off by saying, just let me see you prove it. Basically, he wants to see the proof. That's a song from Aretha Franklin back in the day called Prove It.
Let me see you prove it. Just let me see you prove it.
And that's basically what he's saying, as you'll see. We'll come back to that later. A lot of allegations been thrown out, so that's part of it. And that's basically what Drake is going at. Hey, well, let me see you prove it. And this is Drake's time, and he's saying, hey, well, I'm about to prove it right now.
The Pulitzer Prize winner is definitely spiraling. I got your fucking lines tapped, I swear that I'm dialed in.
So in 2018, Kendrick Lamar won the Puzzler Prize Winner Award for music for his classic, in my opinion, album, Damn, his second classic. He got two classics in my opinion, but his second classic, Damn. Here Drake is saying, basically he's saying the same thing, acknowledging the award. And the award is supposed to acknowledge literacy and intelligence. It's basically to compliment him for those things. Drake is basically saying, this guy who y'all chose to get this award, to put on this pedestal, he's spiraling out of control. Spiraling basically means to act out of character in a way that people never seen, which it holds some weight. We've never seen Kendrick in a beef. Drake was clearly getting under his skin. Meet the Grams, with the Not Like Us, the dots that he meant to connect that really wasn't. This is Drake basically telling him, hey, I've got you just emotionally spiraling out of control. I got you where I want you. A lot of people going to disagree because it was a lot of one-sided biasness that was going on with that as we spoke. But Drake was spitting on this one. He was saying some stuff, and that's why we're here to unpack it.
First I was arrested, so where's the proof of the trial then? Where's the paperwork of the cabinet is filed in?
This goes back to Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria and what I told you in a prior video with those Drake snitching allegations. It was never any proof, any paperwork on it. I mean, we did have this that was posted from a rapper page that used to rap with Drake. Some claims that he made after they had a falling out about something. So you take with that from whatever you want to do with it. Like I said, it's always a matter of who and what you believe. But again, nothing came up with this. And like you said, where's the paperwork? You know, every time when people claim somebody is a snitch now, we're looking for the black and white.
1090 Jake would have took all the walls down. The streets would have had me hiding out in a small town.
Then he goes on to mention 1090 Jake. 1090 Jake is a guy who you see him in interviews a lot. He's a guy who's known for pulling up guys' paperwork. Anybody who's out there telling, 1090 Jake is usually the fastest one that can track this down and support the information if somebody is telling or not. If they're out there on paperwork, if they're ratting. So basically Drake is saying, look, all these years, you got 1090 Jake who's coming famous off the YouTube, the social media era for doing this. And he ain't said nothing about me. Like, come on now, you got to make it make sense and connect the dots, which that was a very good point and a very good line by Drake. It's also worth noting that 1090 Jake is an actor who played in the movie 2.5 Men. If you want to go check that out, that's on you. Streets would have had me hiding out in a small town. Self-explanatory. You ratting, you can't come outside. People know what you did. They're coming for you. Y'all know how it go.
My Montreal connects stand up, not fall down. The ones that you getting your stories from, they all clowns.
Okay, now we're going to unpack these, and I want y'all to listen closely because some of y'all not quite up to speed, I noticed. First, he says, my Montreal connects stand up, not fall down. My take on that, I had to look back to see where he got robbed at, but that was in Toronto. Y'all know Montreal is Canada. Basically, from my perspective, where he's getting at with the Montreal is because Kendrick Lamar brought up Oakland, which basically he brought up Oakland and Not Like Us to basically pull the Bay in on his side. Y'all know that's California, but that's not, Los Angeles, Compton, where Kendrick's from. So basically, Drake is pretty much saying, look, Montreal is riding with me. It's not sweet if you come to Canada. If you think I can't come to California, the Bay Area, anywhere in Cali, you can't come anywhere in Canada. This actually holds some weight because y'all know Rick Ross, when he went out there playing Not Like Us, trolling, y'all remember what happened to y'all. Drake's not lying there. He was saying the Montreal connects, that they got his back. He's connected out there, which clearly he is. Now, this is where I want y'all to listen closely. He said, the ones you getting your stories from, they all clowns. Listen closely. This is referring to the snitching allegations, the ones who told Kendrick Lamar Drake was a snitch. Okay? We're going to come back to this because I see a lot of y'all lazily listen to this, but I think y'all probably did it on purpose because there's no way you can be that remedial. But keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that. The ones you got your stories from are all clowns is referring to the snitching allegations, the ones who told Kendrick Lamar that information. Keep that in mind as we move on.
I am a war general, seasoned in preparation. My jacket is covered in medals, honor and decoration.
Drake says he's the war general. Now, hopefully a lot of y'all didn't trip too much on this one because what he's saying is factual. He is the war general. When you look at the beefs Drake has went into, his discography of diss tracks is on a very short list, in my opinion. When you look at the overall depth, you can say he lost in these if you want to, but Family Matters is a classic diss track. Duppy, classic diss track. Back to back, we know what that do. So when you look at all of them, and those is his three main beats, but then you got his little spats where he went at people, where it's like, damn, let me play this. So when you look at his overall discography of his diss tracks, push-ups and all that stuff, and the ones where, he took these shots at people in the time stamp records and these other songs he had dissing people, Two Birds, One Stone, all that type of stuff. Drake's catalog of diss tracks is there. And that's basically what he was letting it on. This was Kendrick's first actual official beef. I mean, you had the Big Sean stuff, which is a little back and forth. But this is the first one he actually had on wax. Drake has been there. So regardless of what you may say, he has the experience. He is war general. You know what I'm saying? And then he's basically saying, my jacket seasoned in preparation. Basically, he's saying, I got the Letterman's jacket. I got the plaques on it. Look at me. Check my record. And he's not lying.
You waited for this moment, overcome with the desperation. We plotted for a week and then we fed you the information.
You waited for this moment. Kendrick and Drake from the Control, Drake or whatever, taking shots at Kendrick shooting back, them throwing subliminals for years. Every time Kendrick comes back from his hiatus, taking shots mainly at Drake more than anybody. Cole, hey, step out the way. This ain't got nothing to do with you. I want Drake. TDE, early on in his career, saying, my girl listen to Drake. Is they that much better than me? You know what I'm saying? That stuff, potential jealousy from early on. TDE having a picture of Drake on their wall saying, hey, we want you to beat that guy. Basically, that's the guy we want you to beat. That's the guy we want you to take out. It's desperation. You've been desperate for it. This is what you wanted. And that's what's overcoming this situation of you finally getting to me. You overcome it with desperation. Plotted for a week and then fed you the information. That still remains to be seen if he plotted them the information or not. But, I mean, he's going to go into details more further, and we'll talk about that as he go further with the information he allegedly planned them, and we'll talk about it at that point. And another thing, this is what I was harping on earlier when he said the ones you getting your stories from is all clowns. That was about the snitching allegations. This where he's saying we plotted for a week is about the fake daughter, the picture with the medicine and the information. All this is two totally different situations. So when people say, "Oh, Drake is stupid," he called himself a clown, that means you either lazily listening, your mind was already made up, or you're just not intelligent enough to grasp bars. I've seen so many people say that. I've seen that one video going around where that guy was laughing and trying to clown it. Hey, shout outs to him. I'm never gonna hate on a man, especially a black man, getting his money. But even he knows he was wrong. But he knows how easily people was manipulated, how people was running with this stuff. We know why. So he was able to do what he do. But even he know that's not true, unless he was one of those. But regardless, he did what he had to do. He got his money off of it. Shout outs to him. But those were two totally different bars. This was so annoying. So many people was bringing up the same thing. And I'm like, y'all really stumbled on this? But moving on.
A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination.
So this is the first piece of the information, which was the daughter, the 11-year-old alleged daughter that we still all been waiting for, that was mentioned in Meet the Grams. Either it was a great play by Drake to play on that, with Kendrick really believing that it was a daughter, which it makes it easy to believe because till this day, we're all still waiting. I know a lot of Kendrick fans like to ignore that topic, or some of them would go on a research and put up, at least they'll try to argue it, try to fight the case, but we still waiting on the daughter. So it could make it look like he did really give him fake information to make him believe it. No actual proof that Drake made him believe that, but it leans more to Drake's side because we're still waiting on the daughter. If Kendrick can expose that, that would end everything. Now, I have heard things of, oh, they have seen the daughter, but they don't want to embarrass her. I don't want to hear that. And this is my take. This is why I don't want to hear that, is because Kendrick said he hoped Drake DIE. I'm going to get back to that. Kendrick said he hoped Drake DIE. He doesn't want him in a rap game. Doesn't want his fans to hear from him. Doesn't want this. Doesn't want that. Drake immediately responded to the daughter allegations and said, hey, I have a daughter. If I do, let me know. Academics. He told Academics, I will quit rap right now and come work for you.
Hey, I'll take it one further. Drake hit me and told me, he said, Ak, if you or anybody can find proof I have an 11-year-old daughter, I'll quit rapping and I'll come work for you. And I would love for Drake to work for me.
You expose that daughter information, now you put the pressure on Drake where he has to stand on business. Well, it's like, okay, Drake, you said this. You said you was going to leave. Here we go, here go the daughter. So if you really want this guy out of here, you don't like him like that, you'd expose the information, right? If I don't want a female, she tells me not to do something, I'm going to do it so she can leave. So that's why I don't buy that whole, oh, he has one, but we don't want to expose. I don't buy that excuse because you really don't like her. And I also don't buy the whole daughter thing because Pusha T, it don't make sense why Pusha T would just skip over the daughter to go to the son if she's older. But that's one, and all in all, that's one piece of the information. It's a matter of what you believe and who you believe, once again. Now, as you see, the fake name and destination, I guess her real name is Eternity Joy. That's the name that was on the Instagram. Apparently, she was in the Family Matters video, and that's where information comes from. It's just a wild, weird situation. But that's where Drake is pretty much getting at on this one.
But you so thirsty, you not concerned with investigation. Instead, you in that Venice studio, it's a celebration.
He's saying, but you're so thirsty to try to end me, to try to get me out of here, to try to win this. We didn't even have to do all that. I went into the game. I didn't have to drop 40 points. I beat you dropping 25. That's pretty much what Drake is saying here. You were so thirsty to hop on it. I didn't even have to go the extra mile, giving it a fake destination, fake name and all that to make the story believable. You hopped on any and everything you seen. And he said, now you're in that hotel in New York. He's gonna get back to that. He talked about that later on, but y'all, if you know, you know. Now you in that hotel in New York, which I know you at, which he hinted at that also, in the tailor-made freestyle.
I know you in that NY apartment, you struggling right now, I know it.
You're in that studio celebrating. We know that's where you at right now, because you're not with her.
You gotta learn to fact check things and be less impatient. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration.
You gotta learn to fact check things and be less impatient. Drake is telling Kendrick, you ran with all this information we gave you. You didn't fact check to see if it was right or none of that. You were just so thirsty that you just ran with it and thought you had some evidence, and it backfired. Your fans is waiting on the day of my expiration. This is so true. It's like Drake predicted the future, because we all see what's going on. The expiration, the date of Drake. Y'all remember that with Kanye West. This is crazy. Like, this track, that bar right there, if it's one so far that definitely it's aging well, it's that one. Because that right there is so perfect. Because Drake, all he did after that was still go #1. Dropped a Nokia video, went #1. All he did is continue to do numbers. And now everybody's waiting on the solo album, which we expect to do numbers. Had the tour in Australia where they showed him love. Drake is nowhere near going. He's on a whole nother run.
Even the picture you use, the jokes and the medication, the Maybach glove and the drug he uses for less inflation.
If you've heard both 616 in LA and Meet the Grams, you'll know Kendrick Lamar had a cover photo with Drake's name and his dad's name in there for the prescription with the sleeping pills, the drugs, and all that other stuff. Basically, he's saying, we put these here to send you off and you took the bait. You took it as if this was you had some real evidence and it backfired on you. There was a guy, was it Prince 24 or something like that his name was? He came around for a little bit, backtracking, piggybacking on what Kendrick Lamar said in the Meet the Grams. But he was short-lived for about a couple of days. People stopped paying him a mind. Apparently, both sides, he was mad Drake didn't pay him some money, so he was threatening to expose his information, but he just never fall back on it, and his stories just was inconsistent. TDE wasn't messing with him, didn't pay him no mind, nor did Drake. He tried to say the guy Chris, the disabled guy, Drake took advantage of him and beat him, but Chris came out and said that story was false. So that's another theory they got debunked. So it was no evidence on Drake, and everybody just kind of moved on.
Master manipulator, you bid on a speculation. You dumb and reactive, nigga, I'm petty with dedication.
Master manipulator, you bid on the speculation. You dumb and reactive. I'm petty with dedication. It's a lot to unpack on this. The master manipulator part, I definitely do agree with that one. I definitely agree with that part, what Drake is saying. But that's a story for another day. We ain't going to get into all that. But I've seen far too many times a lot of brainwashed people from that side who really just believe everything this guy has said and ran with. So he's not lying 1,000%. I agree with Drake on that one. Now, the other part, you dumb and reactive, I'm petty with dedication. That's referring to him falling for the information. Basically saying, I'm petty with dedication. I did that to you. I'm dedicated to being petty. We've seen another example of that with the Melissa Ford situation. When he mentioned her on Give Me a Hug, and you know what I'm saying, then he started going on with it, putting her on merch, sending flowers to the show for her, basically doing all this to get under Joe Budden's skin. And now what do you see? Joe Budden's doing a full 180, even in the process of all that. So that's just what Drake does, bro. He get at these dudes, chicks, all kind of stuff. He's definitely not lying. He is petty with dedication. You know what I'm saying? Even if it cost him allegedly getting beat up by P. Diddy. I mean, that's what he do. I'm petty with dedication too myself, so I can admire some pettiness.
What about the bones we dug up in that excavation? And why isn't Whitney denying all of the allegations?
What about the bones we dug up in that excavation? Now, it is a photo, but it's Dave, Free, Whitney, and some others, and they look like they're out on like a trip digging up bones. So that's what he's referring to when he says, what about the bones we dug up in that excavation? And why isn't Whitney denying all of the allegations? Which is true. Whitney stays silent. Now, I can unpack the few on this one. Whitney didn't ever say nothing, which probably made Kendrick say, you know what, let me go ahead and put her in a Not Like Us video. So let me just go ahead and, she don't have to speak. We're going to shut it up this way. But I have two sides to that one. That's a great play by Kendrick because he knows he has the world on his side. So that was a great play. Don't got to show nothing. Just action. Don't got to say anything, just action. But that doesn't automatically mean what Drake is saying is false. We've seen that far too many times. Look at the Bad Baby situation. Look at every day in the hood in daily life. I've known female who for years would never say anything, then will come out years later. Yeah, I didn't never say nothing, but yeah, this guy was abusing me and this and that. And you ask them, well, why you didn't say anything? And they're like, because I knew I was going to go back to him. I've had females tell me straight up, if you've been in the hood, I'm sure you've seen the same. So that's not to say it's true or false, but throwing her in the video doesn't automatically just mean that it didn't happen. Like, that doesn't work. She could have been paid. All kind of things could happen. You know, so that goes back to Drake saying, basically, you're a master manipulator. You're manipulating these people into thinking you're something you're not.
Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? You haven't seen the kids in 6 months. The distance is wild.
Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? This is Drake again clinging on to the fact that Kendrick's kid might be Dave Free. We all knew that was cap from the jump. So we knew that was cap. Drake saved himself when he used the line, one of them kids might be Dave Freeze. So that pretty much saved Drake from that one instead of standing on it. But we knew that was cap from the jump. We knew. But it's a great angle to play on when you see it looks like Dave Free might be more in the mix, hearting her photos. But that's Kendrick is not active on social media. So that's not an L against Kendrick. He's not social. You know, he's really not on there. You catch him once every good while and he's about to drop. But he's really not a social media type of guy, at least what we see from the public. So that right there, clever line for Drake to cling on the idea, but not an L for Kendrick.
Dave leaving heart emojis underneath pics of the child. Speaking of anything with a child, let's get to that now.
So, of course, this goes back to Whitney following Dave Free, which is Kendrick's manager, but not following Kendrick. He leaving heart emojis under pics of the child, if this is supposed to be your family. Like I said, this is another one where it's nice for Drake to play on that angle, but this doesn't mean anything. It's plenty of times if I see one of my homies, wife or baby mama or son with a family pic or her with the kids, you know, I might drop some love, hit a like button and, you know, drop some emojis. But this isn't anything, but it adds more to Drake's case. Like I said, Drake and Kendrick is good at playing on these angles. If it's like, okay, cool, if you're going to give me an inch, I'm going to take them out, you know, type of stuff. So, and there's people out there that are manipulated enough that'll believe either one of them in these certain cases. So that's pretty much what Drake is doing on that one. Speaking of anything with a child, let's get to that now. Now, this is when it starts to get interesting, as you know what Drake is hinting at.
This Epstein angle was the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected.
This Epstein angle is some shit I expected. TikTok videos you could. Y'all know who Epstein is. Y'all know his history. We'll not have to get to that. And that's why they tying that to Drake. A Weinstein child. So they're tying that to Drake. Drake is saying, I expected this, which is true. He called that out in Taylor Made.
Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift for me. Heard it on the Button podcast. It's gotta be true.
That would be the angle you would go. Basically saying, you have no dirt. So you go ahead and bring that one up. And to his credit, it's true. Because with him saying that, and what I don't like is, what makes me laugh is I see a lot of people, oh, Kendrick predicted all Drake's angle. He did. Well, Drake said the same thing in Taylor Made, but people just like dismiss that, you know? It's like, I don't know, it was just so much stuff that went on that just didn't. It's like, if you're going to give Kendrick all this credit for, being one step ahead, why can't you do the same for Drake? I mean, they both predicted certain angles. I don't get why, it's so difficult to do that. But that's basically where he's getting at like that. It's just, the thing is, Kendrick had the people behind him. No matter what he say, people's going to rock with. So it didn't even matter that Drake did that. But I am noticing now more people are starting to go back to Drake disses and they're starting to say, man, this dude was speaking some facts. And it's like, well, some of us already knew that. Now, speaking of angles, there's two angles you can go with this, though. You can say that's an L for Drake because it backfired. And now look what happened with the Super Bowl stage and all that. Now it's been cool to call you a pedophile. So you can say, regardless, you gave somebody an assist or whatever and they took it and ran with it. And now it's being displayed everywhere, especially pending this lawsuit. But how it's looking like with Drake winning, that's the flip side of things. You can look like Drake was one step ahead. He's about to get paid big. Y'all messed yourself up. This isn't going to last long. Kendrick's being used as a puppet. It all depends on which way you look at it. There are some people whose mind is made up. They're going to continue. They don't like Drake anyway, so they're going to F him no matter what. I won't respect him. His legacy is tarnished. This, that, and the third, blah, 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 and all that. And then you have your people, no matter what, they're going to side with Drake. But then you have your other side of people who feels like, F the system. I'm never riding with the system, which I think this situation has exposed a lot, but that's a story for another day we could talk about. So it all depends on what angle you look at with that one. Me, I'm on the side of letting it play out because if Drake loses lawsuit, then obviously that's going to be very bad for him. That's going to be an L for him. But if he wins, furthermore, solidifies his legacy as, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. And now as for TikTok videos you collected, it was a TikTok user who blasted Drake. I'm going to put it right here on the screen. back in the past. Something that came up a few years back, a TikTok user did blast Drake. And Drake is basically saying, you got your information off of TikTok. More false rumors.
Instead of being on some disdirect shit, you rather fucking grab your pen and misdirect shit.
Instead of being on some disdirect shit, you rather fucking get your pen and misdirect shit. Okay, it's quite a bit to unpack on this one. Drake is saying, instead of you coming right on, dissing me, let's go on bars like you claim, you'd rather take some things, misinterpret it as to me being a pedophile. Now, listen closely on this one. This is another bar that I see a lot of people talk about, and I pretty much think I got the angle on this one, which this is going to lead us on to the next one. I notice he says, instead of being on some disdirect shit, you'd rather fucking grab your pen and misdirect shit. Basically, you're supposed to be dissing me. You're coming with a whole false accusation that I'm a pedophile. You're throwing something out there just hoping it sticks at this point. That's not even true, because you're taking some things that you may have seen or this and that, and you're trying to piece this together as if I'm this when I'm not. And that's not exactly what happened. Now pay attention.
My mom came over today and I was like, mother, wait a second. That's that one record where you say you got molested.
Drake says his mom came over today and I was like, mother, Mother I Sober is a song of Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Montreal and the Big Steppers. In the song, we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to talk about that because remember the whole misdirect bar? I'll get to that one in a second. But Mother I Sober is a play off of Kendrick's song. Mother I Sober, Drake is talking about his mom. But then he said, wait a second. Then he started rehashing the bar saying, that's that one record where you say you got the M word. You know what I'm saying? Now, Drake caught a lot of heat from this because they said, oh, he's dumb. He doesn't listen to bars. This and that. Kendrick never said he got molested. I'm going to play a little bit of the lyrics here, copyright.
They accused my cousin. Did he touch you, Kendrick? Never lied, but no one believed me when I said he didn't.
But think about it. Maybe, just maybe, once again, Drake was saying, okay, if you're going to take something that I said or that you may have seen that you're trying to make it out to be this, I'm going to take your lyrics, I'm going to misdirect yours as well, and I'm going to tell everybody about you being raped. Since you want to do that for your crowd, I'm going to do this for mine that doesn't listen to you. Maybe, but just maybe, that's what Drake was doing. I could be wrong, but that's what I got from it. But in the end, people are going to run with how they want. People are going to hear what they want to hear. People are going to run with whatever narrative they want to run with. But that's mine.